What if I told you the sun god was just the beginning, because buried in ancient legends, forgotten races, and the world's deepest secrets are signs of a cosmic war between gods that's been brewing since the Void Century. Luffy, Imu, Shiraoshi, even the devil fruits. Every one of them connects to something way bigger than we ever imagined. And if you've been paying attention, Oda's been setting this up for years. At first, the idea of Luffy being some kind of god felt completely insane. He's a rubber boy with a goofy smile, not a celestial being with divine powers. But everything changed in Wano. When Kaido crushed Luffy and left him on the brink of death, something shifted. That was the moment Luffy's true power awakened. Not just a new form, but a new identity. The Gomu Gomu no Mi was never what the world believed it to be. It was actually the Hito no Mi, model Nika, a mythical Zoan fruit carrying the will of the sun god. And that changes everything. Gear 5 wasn't just an evolution, it was a resurrection. Luffy's heartbeat started to play like the drums of liberation, and his body began to move in ways that broke every rule of reality. His rubber powers turned cartoonish. His fighting style became unpredictable, and the world realized that this wasn't just a gear, it was a divine state of being. Joy Boy had returned, but under a new name. Luffy wasn't just a warrior anymore. He was the sun god, the embodiment of freedom, laughter, and rebellion. Wild, right? But here's the thing. He's not the only god in the story. And the second one, she lives at the bottom of the sea. Way before Wano, back in Fishman Island, Oda dropped a revelation that most fans didn't realize was divine at the time. The ancient weapon Poseidon wasn't a cannon, a battleship, or some kind of hidden nuke. It was a person. And that person was none other than Shirahoshi, the giant mermaid princess who can command the sea kings with just her voice. The creatures that guard the deepest parts of the ocean bend to her will, and if she ever gave the order, they could destroy islands, or maybe even the entire world. Think about that for a second. A gentle, naive princess holds the literal power of the sea god. Poseidon is her true name, and it's not just symbolic, it's a title tied directly to her role in the balance of the planet. She doesn't just influence the seas, she rules them. So now we've got the sun god dancing in the skies, and the sea god sleeping under the ocean. But what about the ground beneath our feet? Because the one who rules the earth is the most dangerous god of all. We still don't know exactly what Imu is. They sit on the empty throne, command the 5 elders, erase entire islands with mysterious beams of light, and have somehow stayed hidden for centuries. But here's where it gets interesting. The names of the 5 elders are all based on planets from our solar system. Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. Every one of them represents a celestial body orbiting a central force. But what are they orbiting around? Some fans believe that if Luffy is the sun and the elders are the planets, then Imu is the earth, the center of the world government's gravity, the one all others serve. And that actually lines up with what we've seen. Imu has always been tied to control, order, and destruction. They're the one who erased Lulusia from existence. They're the one the elders bow to. It's even been hinted that Imu caused a calamity in the past so massive, it reshaped history itself. So if Shirahoshi is the sea god, Luffy is the sun god, and Imu is the earth god, then who's the fourth? This next god might actually be the one who created everything. Here's where things get mysterious and honestly, kind of terrifying. During the Elbaf arc, the Harley, that's the ancient text the giants follow, mentioned something strange, a forest god. But unlike the others, we don't know who they are. We don't even know what side they're on. What we do know is this: the forest god is tied to creation, and it's been said they might be the one who gave birth to the devil fruits themselves. Yeah, the powers that turn people into living gods or monsters might have come from a god of the forest. Now here's the creepier part. Some versions of the legend say the forest god didn't just create powers, they created demons, like actual demonic beings. Could that be a reference to the elders and their horrific yokai forms? Or is it a nod to an ancient army of devil fruit users who were given power to fight a war during the Void Century? There's even a theory that the demons were people granted twisted powers by Imu, and that the devil fruits were corrupted remnants of that era. But there's another idea that hits even harder. Maybe the forest god wasn't a person at all, but a collective force. Maybe it was the D-Clan, people who use their dreams to create powers through science, technology, or even willpower. It's possible the devil fruits were a last-ditch hope, a way to give power to the next generation of fighters in a war they knew they couldn't win. But the most chilling part? This war might not be over. There's always been one unspoken rule in the One Piece community. When it comes to raw power among the Straw Hats, Luffy obviously stands in a league of his own, but just below him, there's a power trio that hasn't budged in years: Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei. These three aren't just the strongest commanders under Luffy, they're the only Straw Hats who currently wield both armament and observation haki. And Zoro? Yeah, he's flexing Conqueror's haki too, casually, as if that's not one of the rarest powers in the entire series. Zoro fans are eating good right now. Sanji's got that insane durability and speed thanks to Germa's genetic enhancements. And let's not forget, he literally fights while on fire now. Meanwhile, Jinbei's the veteran, a former warlord with years of battlefield experience and fishman karate that can one-shot enemies through pure water pressure alone. These three form a terrifying wall of strength under Luffy's command. And honestly, no one's even close. But that gap might be closing soon. In Chapter 1148, Oda dropped something huge. And fans who were paying attention know exactly what I'm talking about. Nico Robin, the so-called Devil Child, went head-to-head with Saint Summers, one of the Holy Knights. Yeah, the same guys who are being hyped as world-ending threats right now. And Robin didn't just run or stall him, she tricked him with a clone, broke his spine, and nearly walked away with the win, until that broken regeneration ability kicked in. Seriously, what are these guys made of? And even though Scopper Gaban had to step in to save her, that moment said everything. Robin is no longer hiding in the background. She's out here taking on top-tier enemies, and she's doing it without haki or a devil fruit awakening. Just think about that. If she awakens her powers or learns even a single form of haki, she might surpass Jinbei by the end of the series. Yeah, I said it. And here's the kicker. Oda gave her this moment on purpose. He's not sidelining her. He's setting her up for something way bigger. And if that's true, then the current top three might not stay the same for much longer. Now, once you move past that top-tier group, things get a little more fuzzy, but not completely. If there's anyone next in line, it's gotta be Frankie. He's been consistent throughout the New World, tanking insane attacks, going toe-to-toe with powerful enemies like Sasaki, and building weapons that casually rival ancient tech. He's kind of a one-man army, but even he hasn't tapped into haki yet, and that's what's holding him back. After Frankie, the strength ranking among the Straw Hats gets a little more debatable, but most fans would put Nami, Brook, Chopper, and Usopp near the bottom. And that's not an insult. They've all had incredible moments, but in the New World, power gaps matter more than ever. You're fighting opponents who can see the future, cut mountains, and regenerate from fatal wounds. And in that kind of world, not having haki is like going into a gunfight with a spoon. There's been a lot of hope that Oda's building these characters up for a late-game power-up, especially Usopp, who's been teasing observation haki since Dressrosa. But right now, it's clear who the top officers are, and whether or not that lineup changes depends entirely on what happens next, because something big is coming, and not everyone's ready for it. So when you really step back and look at it all, it's not just about pirates chasing treasure anymore, is it? It's never really been about just becoming the Pirate King or finding Laughtail. That's just the surface. What's happening underneath is something much, much older and way bigger. Luffy being the Sun God wasn't just a shocking twist to make Gear 5 cool, it was the first crack in the illusion. The moment we realize there's a deeper story Oda's been hiding all along. A story about ancient beings who once shaped the world, possibly even created it, and now, through fate or rebellion or destiny, are returning to reshape it again. Shiraoshi, the gentle princess, holds the terrifying ability to command the seas themselves, literally the will of the ocean in her hands. Imu, the shadow behind the throne, might just be the Earth God, the one force that's held the world in place for centuries while erasing anyone who dared disturb the balance. And then there's the Forest God, this unseen, unexplained entity tied to the origin of the devil fruits, demons, dreams, and destruction. We don't even know their name yet, but their legacy is everywhere, in every devil fruit ability, in every unnatural power, in every war sparked by fear of the unknown. And standing right at the center of it all is Luffy, a boy who just wanted to be free, now carrying the name and power of a forgotten god, leading a new era filled with echoes from the past. The world government fears him, not just because he's strong, but because of what he represents. Joy Boy, Nika, the sun, the light that burns through darkness. And with each step forward, each island conquered, and each truth uncovered, we're getting closer to the moment these gods will clash. Sun against earth, sea against shadow, forest against flame. Because this isn't just a pirate story anymore. This is the reawakening of an ancient war between forces that once ruled the world. And the final saga will decide who rises and who vanishes forever. And when that final curtain falls, it won't just reveal who becomes Pirate King, it'll show us who's worthy of becoming the last god of the One Piece world. So yeah, for now, the top three Straw Hat officers are still Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei. That hasn't changed. They've got the haki, the feats, the durability, and the story momentum to back it all up. But Robin's performance against a Holy Knight wasn't just a cool moment, it was a warning shot. Oda's not done evolving the crew, and if someone like Robin, without even Haki or an awakened devil fruit, can nearly take down an opponent of that level, imagine what she'll become by the final war. Seriously, just imagine. And that's the beauty of this crew. Luffy doesn't travel with finished products, he travels with people who are still growing, still chasing something, still not at their peak. That includes Frankie, who's basically a walking battleship. That includes Nami, whose weapon literally channels the power of a weather god. That includes Usopp, who may be the weakest on paper, but has the soul of a warrior that won't quit. Even Chopper and Brook, they've all had moments where they showed they could be dangerous if pushed hard enough. So maybe the top 3 won't change today, maybe not even tomorrow. But the final war isn't going to wait for anyone. And when that war hits, when Luffy stands at the edge of history, staring down the greatest threats the world's ever seen, he's going to need more than just 3 reliable fighters. He's going to need a crew of legends, and the craziest part, they might already be there, just waiting for their moment.